Okay guys, thanks so much for joining me today. I don't have an external monitor or any of my other normal fancy setup for streaming today, and I noticed the audio is going to be a little bit worse than it normally is, and I apologize for that. I'm actually at East Tennessee State University, and I am streaming from there. So I'm going to do everything I can to kind of filter the audio and keep it as pristine as possible. That should be slightly better. And basically my goal today is we're gonna build a simple, let me minimize all this other stuff. We're gonna build a simple STS assume role scenario. And we've worked on this before for those of you who have seen previous streams, but we never really got it working. I've done some more work today, and I think we will get it working. Part of the challenge of getting it working is that we support out of the box a couple of different. Oh, is it frozen? Can you guys hear me? Okay. So let's see. The issue with trying to do the Twitch login is that while we support Facebook, Google, OpenID, Amazon login, and all of these other things with the STS assume role identity, we don't support the Twitch as a assume role with identity. So you have to assume role via federated access through an STS token call. You guys can read about the STS, which is a simple token service, here. And it's a very, very powerful service. It's actually what most of the IAM roles and other credentials kind of processes are built on at Amazon. Where's the chat? So you can kind of peruse the docs there if you want, but I'm going to show you an image really fast of what we're going to try and build. And I've built a little IAM role right now that authenticates people in for 5 minutes at a time. And then I've built a little hole in the policy that if you are kind of clever, you should be able to go in and extend your access past those 5 minutes. And that's the goal. So once we have this built, I'll let people play around with it, and we're going to watch people play around with it through the CloudTrail logs, and hopefully we'll get everything working. But the essential process that we're going to go through is we're going to have an API gateway app that we're going to deploy with Zappa. So it's going to be a Python app that we deploy with Zappa, which is a framework for deploying serverless applications. And we're going to have the user's browser, and that's going to make a request, to get Twitch login. That's going to get redirected to the identity portal, which is in this case the Twitch login page. Then it's going to go from that login page with the callback to the so it's going to tell the user's browser to redirect to that identity portal. The user's browser is going to make a GET request to the identity provider, which in this case is Twitch. So we're in this identity provider column here. And then Twitch will verify the identity, you'll log in and everything, validate the credentials, and then it will redirect back to, it will send the user's browser a 302 or 301 redirect back to my application, which will be listening for the access token, essentially. It will read the access token on that request, make a bunch of calls out to the back to Twitch to verify your access token and build all that stuff. Then using that, it will make yet another request out to AWS STS with the credentials that I've embedded in that Lambda function, and then it will send the user's browser another 302 redirect back into the AWS console. So it's a fairly complicated series of redirects and authentications, and it's not the typical use case that you, oh, I need to pause some of my bandwidth hogs here. There we go. Pausing all those bandwidth hogs will save us a little bit of effort. So that's how STS works. It's non-trivial. Is the stream working okay for everybody? I'm not on my regular internet and I don't have my regular setup, so before I get going, I just want to make sure we work out any of the kinks. Great, wonderful. Thank you guys for replying. So I'm going to leave this image kind of around for a while. Oh, is the sound still awful? I can adjust the noise filter quite a bit. I can probably up the noise suppression. Is that better? Is there less noise now? No, it doesn't seem too much better. Okay, well, I'm sorry it's not going to be the same quality as my other broadcasts. In the future, I'll try to travel with an external monitor and some other stuff, and we'll try to make it a little bit better. Okay, so I have some code that I've been working on up here, and I'll just walk you guys through it. We built this actually last time in another app, and we never got it working because I wasn't able to get my API keys from Twitch. So this will, but essentially what we're gonna do is the series of steps that I outlined above. We're not going to have any buttons or anything. I'm just going to direct you guys to curl an endpoint or open an endpoint in your browser and hope for the best. But what I'm doing here is I've got a Flask app, and I'm just grabbing some parameters in the beginning, and I'm probably going to rename this to I don't know, something a little more reasonable. So you can see I'm doing all the basic boilerplate stuff for Flask. I'll make the code a little bigger for you guys to see. David MCO65 asked, "Where am I?" I am today at East Tennessee University in Johnson City, Tennessee, and tomorrow I'll be in Nashville if anybody wants to meet up. And then on Thursday I'll be in Austin at Serverless Conf, and I'll be there Friday too, and then I'll be in Stockholm, Sweden on Monday. So busy week, but I'm trying to make some time for you guys to stream. But basically what we're doing here is this Twitch OAuth kind of to the remote app is basically taking OAuth and making it part of Flask. It's really straightforward. It's no different from if you were using the traditional OAuth requests library, and the difference is that when you're adjusting configs and stuff, you'll do it through the app config. So you'll see I'm creating kind of this OAuth consumer on the Flask app that I've instantiated, and then I'm going and creating the Twitch stuff. So these are the base URLs. We go to api.twitch.tv/kraken. We go to api.twitch.tv authorize auth2 token. We use the method post, and we have the scope of user read. So you'll notice that when we request permissions from the user, we won't get anything other than user read, which is by design and also pretty much the only thing that Twitch gives you access to And this is going to change because I'm in a different account today, so I won't be able to use my api.ranman.com. I'll have to use whatever redirect URI Twitch is able to give me. And then we're going to have kind of a DynamoDB table called Twitch auth, which is going to store, pardon me, the tokens. And then we'll create a simple token service client. And I actually need to change all these Voto3 calls around to be completely different if they're going to work. No, I don't. So to get these to work locally, I would need to change these around since my default profile is not the one that we're using today. But on Lambda, these should work fine. And I don't even need to provide a region. There we go. Everything should just work. I'm going to create a Lambda role that just is something you should never do. My Lambda role will have kind of administrative permissions because I don't want to waste a lot of time trying to figure out what the minimum policy to give to you guys is. It's A to Z or whatever they call it. I'm not sure what that means. Okay, but then let's look at our routes. So the first route that we will hit is this app.route to /Twitch login, which will be a GET request. And that's going to return twitch.authorized URL. And then it's going to give the URL for authorized, which is going to be, I don't think we built that. Yeah, that's here. And it's going to say external true. So that's basically going to do that 302 redirect. So that's going to do this portion from about user's browser down to redirect, all in sort of one line there. Then everything after that, once the session is put together, once we have our access token and everything, then we're going to get the Twitch user and we're going to print the user because I'm not exactly sure what that object looks like. And we're going to create kind of an external user ID and all this other stuff. For now, I've created the role session name to just be your display name on Twitch. But I don't actually know that display name is what the user object returns. So we'll have to see what the API actually returns. And then we create kind of this credentials document, which I guess I'm overloading or something. What does this mean? Typo in Word? Oh, no, I'm not overloading it. So we create this session ID, which is going to have our assume role response, which is what we're creating here by calling out the STS assume role. And that's going to have credentials, access key ID, secret access key ID, and the session token. And interestingly, across invocations, the access key ID and the secret access key ID are not going to change on a per user basis. They'll be the same. It's only the session token that's going to change. But you won't be able to log in with just the access key and the secret access key. You're going to need a fresh session token every 5 minutes. And maybe to start, we bump this up to 10 minutes just to make sure everything is working. But then we create a new auth URL, which is going to be signin.aws.amazon.com/federation. We'll create some parameters, which are just going to be, a question mark get sign in token, and then session is going to be the credentials. And then we'll make a GET request. That GET request is going to give us our sign in token. And then we use that sign in token to create yet another kind of update, I guess. And the issuer won't be to ranman.com. I'll change it to something else based on API gateway. We'll have a destination of console, and the sign-in token will be our the token that we got here. So, and then we'll keep all of the session credentials still in those params. And then finally, we will generate a request through GET to the auth URL, which is what we've created in this sign-in federation thing. We'll prepare it, we'll get the URL, and then we're going to return a redirect to that URL so that your browser goes to it with all of the correct credentials and everything kind of built out. And all of this, all these different requests, all of this happens over the course of milliseconds. So while it does seem fairly complicated and it does make a lot of different network calls back and forth, I mean, it's only 3 if you think about it, but you're doing a lot of back and forth, it will supposedly work. Except when it doesn't, which is going to be probably the first time we deploy this. And one thing that I'm doing differently today that you guys may have noticed is I'm actually using SSM, which is a simple simple systems manager, to store parameters. And I got this trick from a guy named Chris Munns, who's the lead developer advocate for AWS Lambda and serverless as a whole. And so you have environment variables that you can put in Lambda functions, right? And environment variables are particularly useful for credentials or DynamoDB table names, things like this. But I'm actually starting to move more towards keeping credentials outside of environment variables and storing them in Simple Systems Manager instead. Because if you're going to have different Lambda functions accessing the same kind of secure parameters, it makes sense to not have them in environment variables, because you're copying those environment variables around. It complicates your deployment strategy. And if you have to update one Lambda function, you have to update all of them. So this client param simple systems manager get parameters thing has been really, really interesting to play with, and I think it I haven't used it before, but I think it'll be pretty cool. Let me see 1 second here. I'm getting a bunch of tweets, so I'm going to see if anybody's asking some questions. Does Twitch provide an authorization code flow? Anthony W. asks. And, oh yes, new region coming in Sweden. That'll be really cool. So yes, Twitch does have, it's not an authorization code flow, it's more of a an OAuth 2 kind of modified code flow. So if we can look at the docs for it, Twitch, or login with Twitch button, it's basically just OAuth 2, but they modified some of the scope parameters and some other things. Authenticate using the Twitch API. There used to be a yeah, I guess there should be a Twitch login with Twitch button. Is that what I just Googled? So yeah, they use parts of the OAuth 2.0 protocol. Authentication involves registering your app, getting an access token, and then sending the access token in your API request to operate. And then specifying scopes. So they have more scopes than they had 2 months ago, which is different. But we're just going to get user read, which, I mean, I'm not going to store your email address or anything like that. I'm just going to store maybe I should just, no, that's chat login. I was trying to find a scope that was really, not invasive. Read all subscribers to your channel. So, I mean, user read is the least invasive, and I'm not going to take your email address or anything, so don't worry about that. But as you can see, it's a lot of what we've discussed so far. Basically, it's in the implicit grant flow, and there's another flow that they support too, which is this authorization code flow. But it's not like the authorization code flow for something like Facebook. It's a different set of steps, but it's similar. And Twitter has their own set of steps, and GitHub has their own set of steps. None of these guys have really followed the... They've all made extensions that support their own platform, which, as far as I'm concerned, they're welcome to do. So this is what we have so far. Let's figure out how we can deploy it. Now, to deploy it, I am going to go into the console here. And all I have right now is this app.py. I should probably call this something other than app.py. Refactor, rename. How about perpderp.py? Seems a little bit better. And we'll say virtual, and so I think right now my virtual env is tied to Python 2 or Python 3. It is. So I need to start this with a different interpreter. So to do that, virtual env -- interpreter, and should do it. Nope. Virtual env. There's one of these things that's like interpreter. I'm gonna check chat in case you guys know. -p. Okay, I guess it's -p. Oh, it's --python. Okay, and now I'm going to make a little requirements.txt, and I'm just going to put in boto3 flask oauth requests. What else do I use? I don't really think I use anything other than that. So that'll get us going for now. And then I'll source the VM, then activate, pip install Zappa. Zappa is a great package. I've had some issues with Python 3 and Zappa, which is why we're not using Python 3 today. I spent the past few nights messing around with Python 3 on Lambda. It's really, really cool. You can do a lot of stuff. But some of the packages that I want to use aren't all there yet. So maybe next week it'll be better. I'm going to spend some time this week kind of updating what I can. So we'll say pip install -r requirements.txt. Great, cool. So now I'm just going to make sure this even runs. So if I go Python perpderp.py, So let's go see if we can find this flask oauth lib. I need to type it like install flask. I don't think I need to do it. Yeah, it's actually this way. So I guess we need to look at the docs because I probably used it wrong. So you can tell I'm a great developer because I have no idea how to do anything. Oh, from client. Okay, so let's open this up real quick. From flask oauth lib, not to client. That seemed right. Import oauth. Great. And then is all of this right? Looks good. Looks good. I guess I can move these up into this. Then I can get rid of this section here. A token getter. So then we have the session imported. We have our token getter down here. I'll define this a little bit higher up then, since it seems to be important. And we're gonna have to change this, redirect API and everything. I don't know, redirect URI and everything. I don't know what it's gonna be yet, but it's not gonna be this. Sign in authorizing, so we have /login, and then we return twitch.authorize, callback URL for authorized. Next equals, we don't need next. Yeah, we're not doing that part. And then what do we have for authorized? If the response is none, response.getAccess token is none, then return access denied. Otherwise, session Twitch token is the response access token. And I think it'll be a response access token secret as well. But just to verify that, let's go back and look at the login with Twitch page and look at their login flow. Twitch API authorization flow. Yeah, so they just send back an access token. So there's no access token secret. So this is like all off 2.0, which is different from the Twitter side of things. So we don't need this. This is just going to be empty. It's really just going to be this. So we don't need a tuple or anything. So let's make sure all the places where we're using session Twitch token is correct. And I think it is. So we don't really need to store any of this. So I created a DynamoDB client somewhere, I think. We're not going to need that for now. DB. Yeah, that's the only place I'll use it. So I'm not going to store anything for now, because I think I'm just going to redirect and have people log in every time. Okay, I think that's enough, doping around. Let's just try it. Okay. So we're going to go to Twitch Plays to sign in to the console. And we're going to go to US West 2. Wrong one, sorry. US West 2. And I think I'll have to create a region and everything. Will I? We'll see. Let's just go Zappa init for now. Let's call this production. Create a, looks like this is a, nope, it's not a Django application. Pip install Zappa, which is Zappa init, prod, US West 2. Oh no, which profile? I want to use Twitch as the profile. It's a Flask application. That's the correct function. No, I do not want to deploy to all regions. Okay, here are Zappa settings. Everything looks good. Yes, I think we need a region too, though. So in Zappa region selection, Python Zappa. That looks good. So AWS region. So we're going to go and look at our Zappa settings JSON document, and where it says prod, oh, it put spaces after these. We're going to put in something called AWS region, and we're going to put in US West 2 and a comma. And then we're just going to do Zappa deploy prod. And everything will break, I'm certain. And this will take a little bit. While that's going, I'll check out the Frezone was asking what we're working on, so I'll just recap for us. Ah, god damn it. Cannot be assumed by principal events that are in design. Put rule. Roll Twitch login AW prods into app. Roll. So we're gonna make our own role. So let's change this to role name, and we're gonna call it the terrible idea. And then we'll go into IAM, and we'll create a new role with AWS Lambda. We'll give it administrator access, and we'll call it terrible idea. The terrible idea. How's that sound? It sounds bad, if any of you believe in anything related to security. So I'm curious why this was not allowed to be invoked by events.amazonaws.com. It's almost like CloudWatch did not have events available, which would be strange. So let's try this again. Zappa update. So let's go look at CloudFormation and delete all of this. I don't normally have any issues with Zappa. How do I undeploy? Zappa undeploy. So there's no stack, there's no nothing, which means there shouldn't be API gateway. Hopefully nothing has been created. I want to delete this entire API. Delete API. The develop. Okay, let's just try running deploy again. And what I'm hoping is that it's just stuck in some sort of state where it's waiting on cloud formation, or because the way Zappa works is it creates a cloud formation template. So that's this stack. Yeah, here we go. Which it uses to create all the APIs and everything. So it's working. It's working this time, which is better than last time where it wasn't working. And deployment is complete. And this is going to redirect to completely the wrong place because I haven't changed my redirect URL in the application yet, but I'm just going to run with it and see if anything is working. So to do that, I'm going to open up the network console. I'm going to turn on preserve log. And then I have to look at what the URL is again. So it's /twitch_login. And let's watch the network log as all of this happens. Let me figure out if I can dock this again. It's on the bottom here. Internal server error. Oh no. There's Zappa health. Yeah, here we go. We'll just go look in CloudWatch what the logs were. So if we go back here, and we can go to CloudWatch, and there is a kind of log tailer. Oh, Zappa.tail. Zappa.tail. So now we can see what this log was. And there was an issue in login, callback URL for, and string object is not callable. Authorization. External. Huh. So, oh, it's because this needs to be Twitch login /authorized. I think that's what it is. Although the string object not being callable makes me think that callback actually wants a function. So maybe I think it's time to go back to the docs for a second. So we'll see. Yeah, see, I mean, this is saying URL for so-and-so. So this means, yeah, this is right. Callback URL for authorized. And maybe we don't need this external true. What is the external _true for? Because I built this once before and I don't remember half of it. Lazy configuration. Set everything over. What DPI is my mouse at? What kind of terminal app am I using? It's iTerm2. And what DPI is my mouse set at? I have no idea. I'm using a trackpad. I don't really use the mouse at all, so everything that I do is through hotkeys. I have Vim hotkeys and a tiling window manager, so I don't really use my mouse much at all, to be honest. So when you're seeing the mouse moving, I use something called Hammer Spoon to move stuff around, and it's a really powerful automation framework written in Lua for OS X, and you can do anything with it. So, for instance, when I have to do two-factor authentication into the console, I just read from my keychain, and Lua will like calculate the two-factor auth token and all this other stuff. And I have a whole talk about that. If anybody's interested in that, all my code for Hammerspoon and stuff is on my GitHub. But let's focus back in for a moment, and let's see if this external true thing actually needs to be set. External equals true. Okay. I feel like URL for is what's URL for. Yeah, that's where I think the error is coming from. So URL for. So where are we getting URL for from? That is from Flask. Flask URL for. But I think what it's saying is that the URL for that I'm trying to call on is a string and not an object. URL. No, I mean, honestly, I think that does it. I think we're pretty darn close. I'm gonna update these URLs really fast. The redirect URLs, URIs, whatever. So this is gonna go from API to Twitch login authorized. Am I even passing redirect URI anyway? I'm not. Okay, so I need to, this is what I need to change this in Twitch itself. So if I go to Twitch, Twitch apps, there should be developer in there. Because I set there's somewhere in your profile where you set all your apps and everything. Registering there. Connections tab. So we'll go down here and we'll go to Twitch Plays AWS Console. We're actually going to change this to be this URL. So now we can do Zappa. So I never use redirect URI at all in this. So why isn't it highlighting this as unused? It's interesting. Okay, let's deploy it again. Actually, this is giving me an internal server error right now, but what I want it to actually render is the debug while we're still working on it here. So let me Zappa debug. Defaults to true. Interesting. Well, if it's still on debug, that's fine. So let's just run Zappa update. We'll see what goes wrong this time. String object is not callable. That's strange to me. Twitch.authorize URL. Maybe it's not authorized URL. Maybe it's just. Oh, it's just .authorize. That's why. So we need to make one other change here. Let's do that really fast. Instead of authorize URL, we're gonna call authorize. There we go. I bet that's what it was. So we will run this one more time. I hope you guys are having fun. Sorry, it's really just me developing and trying to get stuff working. In a second, it should be a little more interactive as you guys can kind of log into the console and mess around if you want. So let's try this now. We got a new error at least. Zappa tail. Runtime error. The session is unavailable because no secret key was set. Okay, I can fix that. Let me set the secret key. And I'll just make it. Yeah, we'll do this in a hacky way. Don't ever do this in prod. I'm sure you guys know that. App.secret. I don't remember how to set the secret key on Flask secret key. I'm pretty sure it's just app.secret key. Maybe it's config.secret key. So I think if I just go app.secret, maybe I do need to do it through the config object. Flask config. Sorry, I'm getting a bunch of tweets and things. So Flask config set set what? Set secret key. And I've only got about 15 more minutes left today, maybe a little longer. App.config secret key, there you go. App. I've already forgotten what it was. App.config. Secret key is going to be the same as. No, it's not. Oh my goodness. Don't ever do this in a production application, by the way. I'm just doing this because I don't want to have to like generate some new thing every time. And my computer is completely frozen. Wow. Okay. I have a feeling this one's going to work. I feel hopeful. We've been at it for an hour. Am I using the AirPods as a mic? Yes. And I've had them for several months and I haven't lost them. The trick is to keep them in this case. So long as you make a habit of always putting them away in this case, it's really hard to lose. And they work super well. I don't have any issues with them. I know the microphone is worse than it normally is, but access denied. That's wonderful, though. I mean, we got a redirect mismatch error. So let's look and see what requests and everything were made here. We did a login, failed to load response data. That's annoying. So let me just start over from the beginning. We still got access tonight, but access tonight is a good thing to get. I mean, it means that at least we're doing something. I'm actually gonna clear the log here and try one more time so that I have kind of a better idea. And I'm gonna of what's happening. Parameter redirect URI does not match the registered URI, so that's probably an error on the Twitch side. So what did I put in redirect URI? I guess I didn't put a redirect URI in. So we can go Zappa tail. So what I really need to do is not pass in the redirect URI, and I don't know if there's a way to make it do that. So class OAuth don't send redirect URI. Redirect URI. I mean, I wonder what happens if I just don't put in the callback. Oh, you know, that's what the external.true was for. That's why. Okay, cool. Here, watch this. External equals true. That's what the external true was for, because you'll see. Okay, do we see in here where the redirect URI is? Come on. The redirect URI is just /prod/Twitch login instead of the whole string, and that's why it doesn't match what I have in Twitch. So now if I go Zappa update, I think that'll work. And then I'm sure I'll run into some sort of IAM issue where I don't have the right permissions to call whatever it is I need to call. These chairs are not great. Let me check the chat really fast. Angel George, my neighbor, says, "What's up, Randall?" And if you use the case, if you lose the case for the iPod or the AirPods, yeah, you're pretty messed. You're kind of SOL. So okay, let's clear all of this log again. I think it'll work. We got access tonight again. What did we get access tonight again? Did this update or not? Oh, so the external true needs to be inside. Damn it. There we go. So what I had done there is I had passed external true to callback, or to authorize, which doesn't need to be there. It needs to be inside of the URL 4, because the URL 4, when you pass in external, is going to generate an external facing URL, which should match what we have here. I'm just going to make sure this is done. And I'm going to take off the slash. Oh, and I'll clear the log again so we make sure nothing is going wrong. Holy smokes. Okay, cool. So this is the first part where we're saying we're going to authorize it, and I'm going to say authorize. And then we got an internal server error. God damn it. So let's go Zappa tail. Zappa tail. What I'm betting is there's like an IAM permissions issue. But, I mean, hey, we're making progress. Line 43 in authorized. Invalid response from Twitch. So what was the response from Twitch? OAuth exception, invalid response from Twitch. I wonder if there's a way to so invalid, let's just look for this error. Invalid response. Helps if you spell things correctly. Invalid response. Register a function for responding with invalid request. When an invalid request proceeds to require OAuth, we can handle the request with the registered function. Can you guys still hear me, by the way? Because I think these... Press the button. Yeah, there's some pretty interesting headers in there. CloudFront can be pretty good. I'm looking forward to a time when we're able to kind of decouple the developer flow of API Gateway from CloudFront and from the other mechanisms that are in place before you actually get to Lambda, because it'd be great. So in API Gateway, you can actually go through and you can turn on request level logging, where it'll log the body and everything else of the request per stage, and not even just per stage, but you can get granular all the way down to individual methods on individual resources, and you can override settings for each of those. An example of this is in api.ramman.com/where. I have caching turned on and I have log request body turned off, but in all the other API calls, I have the caching and everything on, and you can do that all in Swagger definitions too. So it's pretty powerful stuff. We're facing an issue right now where we've kind of done everything from Git and redirect, and then get to identity provider, and this validate credentials part is the part that's not working right now, because apparently Twitch is responding with an invalid response. So I think there could be an issue in that I'm using an OAuth 1 protocol when I really need to be using an OAuth 2 protocol, and that's partially why we're seeing this issue. So what I'm going to do is kind of switch over to this OAuth 2 provider, which I haven't used before, and we'll see how that works. The server should provide an authorized handler and a token handler, but before the handlers are implemented, the server I need to see how much battery I have left in the AirPods. Pretty good, 84 and 86%, and I've been using them all day. And then we'll init. See, the issue is it's really not an OAuth to flow. It's actually more of a, it's like an authorization flow. Damn. Okay, let's try it this way. We're gonna switch to this OAuth 2 provider. We'll see how far along we get, and maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Let me see if there's an example of using this. Documentation overview, OAuth 2 client. Okay, so no, I'm doing this right. This is already the OAuth 2 kind of setup. So it's something, the invalid response from Twitch. I don't need this app key anymore. So why am I getting an invalid request token URL? Consumer key, consumer secret, scope user email, access token URL. We have this route, Twitch login. So this is our login. Callback for authorized and external is true. We have our route for responsive. I mean, this is literally the code that I wrote. I haven't seen this before. Response get access token is none, return access denied. But we're not even getting to this. What we're getting is an invalid response from Twitch here in authorized response. So maybe we should set up a handler to see what the Twitch error is, and see if we can figure out from there. So let's figure out how we can set a an invalid response handler. So I was barking up the right tree. We don't need to mess around with different OAuth things. Invalid response. So we'll call this at twitch.invalid response. And I have a meeting with my boss right now, but I think he would prefer it if I kept streaming. Let me just shoot him a quick message to make sure. I'm gonna turn off the screen really fast. Sorry, guys. Be right back. Sorry. This is not very interesting while I'm trying to solve all of this, but we will. I'd like to keep streaming because I think like we're pretty close to getting this all working. So I don't want to give up yet, which is why I'm trying to reschedule this meeting. Let's see. My boss's response was stream. Okay, so invalid require OAuth. I'll just copy this method. Return JSONify. So I need to import JSONify. JSONify. I'm just going to copy this whole thing. And I'll change this from OAuth to Twitch. And then we're going to go and we're going to deploy again. And hopefully we'll get some sort of error back from Twitch. I bet it's probably like I've got my secret key wrong, or who knows what it is, but it's probably not. Internal server error is not a good response. An uncaught exception happened also. OAuth remote object has no attribute. OAuth remote app object has no attribute invalid response. Okay, so maybe I need to. Let's take a breather for a moment and let me see if I can actually read the docs. So this is when an invalid request proceeds to require OAuth, we can handle that. So I do think it actually needs to be at OAuth invalid response and not. I'm going to scroll up slowly this time. So, no, maybe. Yeah, no, okay, so it's not the remote app, it's the, it is the at OAuth. There we go. So, Zappa update. We'll wait a hot minute. By the way, everything we're doing right now has absolutely no utility in real life because nobody's going to use Twitch login as an authentication mechanism for the AWS console. And that's pretty much why I'm doing it, because I figure at some point somebody may want to build something fun with it, and we'll cover the same concepts that you would use for authentication for your own stuff. And we're just using Twitch login because we're on Twitch and I think it's fun and it's a cool example. You could use any other form, even internal web apps and intranet apps, to OAuth in, to not OAuth in, to web identity federate into into the AWS console. And there are additional advantages. Why is this taking forever? There are additional advantages to using these kinds of functions in that we're creating a better audit log. So when we go through SAML authentication from an enterprise into our AWS console, we're creating a better audit log and we're increasing security because we're only having one set of credentials. And those sets of credentials are tied to the LDAP credentials or the Kerberos credentials that we have for our company. So, for instance, I worked at a rocket launching company before this, and we used SAML auth into the AWS console. And we used to, before we used SAML auth, we used individual users and individual IAM accounts in order for people to access AWS. And the disadvantage of that is that those users don't go away when the person at the company goes away. Whereas the LDAP credentials and everything, they're typically more established processes around managing those. And also the tokens are short-lived. They only live for 24 hours or however long you set them to live for. And you actually gain significant flexibility and malleability in the account management that you have from uh, from like having to manage individual one-off IAM accounts. And the interesting thing was, it only took us 5 minutes to set up the SAML auth and everything into the AWS console, and it probably saved us countless hours over the next year. So if you have a large company and you've got kind of Kerberos auth or Google Apps or anything like that, and you want everybody to have the same sort of login, I'd strongly suggest looking into OpenID or SAML auth or something like that. And oh, I didn't even know I was wearing that today. Sorry. And SAML, how I love thee. I agree. So we've updated everything. I think we'll probably still run into some sort of error, the one we ran into before. So let's say Zappa tail. Damn. What even is... So if we can't get invalid response handler, authorized response. Let me see what authorized response takes. Authorized response. But there's no invalid. Like, the associated OAuth object. Let me see really fast. So what are we passing in for that? Let me create it up here. Twitch. Maybe this needs to be name. I don't know. I have no idea anymore. We'll keep this as Twitch for now. Anybody have any ideas why the redirect isn't working as desired? And this OAuth invalid response thing should really work. Invalid response. I mean, I'm seeing these examples here. Create an OAuth 2 provider. Call it OAuth. Invalid response. Well, right now I'm just trying to figure out why this @OAuth invalid response thing isn't working. When in doubt, hop into IPython and screw around. Let's see what we can do here. I'm just going to copy all of this. So copy all of this, and then I'm going to copy all of this. Nope. Yeah, I'll copy it. So this is going to be session equals photo3 dot session, and this is going to be profile name equals Twitch plays. No, it's just going to be Twitch. And then we're going to say that our client params are going to equal, we're going to say SSM equals session dot client SSM. And I have to specify a region name equals US West 2. And now we can go and make mistakes. Client params isn't defined. Oh, now it is. Here. Cool. So, token getter. So I want to see what happens with OAuth. I want to see what's in that object. App dot. Okay, nothing's in that object. What's in Twitch? Flask import Flask OAuth load. Flask. Because this is a remote app that we're talking about. That's the thing that's been instantiated. It's OAuth 2 provider. I see. So let's see what's in the client reference. Invalid. Nope, it's still the OAuth 2 provider. So the client is the thing that I'm working with. OAuth remote app. So do I need to get the provider from this thing? Let's see. How do I get the provider? So Twitch dot authorized handler. Okay, let me just take this out for now. Because I can't, I mean, I guess I could build it up a different way. Yeah, I guess that's what I'm going to have to do, actually. if we want to be able to do all of it. I don't want to. Man, I thought we were so close. Let me take this out. Let's see if we can figure out what the error is. So we're gonna try, and then accept exception as ex, and then we're gonna, print ex, whatever, from future. Did I use print anywhere else? Print. Okay, and then we need to return immediately after that, so return like 401. Okay, let's try and deploy this again. Got Zappa tail running in the other side. Oh, I need to, sorry, source VM bin activate, rehash Zappa deploy. Sorry if this is kind of boring recently, guys. It's I'm not familiar with all of these libraries, and Twitch probably has some sort of weird response requirement or content requirement that I haven't read about, and I'm sure we'll figure out what the bug is in just a second here. So let's hit this one more time. We encounter an internal server error. Let's see what that said. Object is not callable. That doesn't seem right. Int object is not callable. Return JSON file. Yeah. So let's update one more time, and we'll see if we can return the exception this time. It should have printed out what the exception was. I don't know why it did not. Wow, it deployed fast this time. Good. And we got yet another error here. No response this time. And we'll go and we'll look at the logs. OAuth exception is not JSON serializable. Well, it's not printing either, so what exactly do you want me to do then? I think I just need to do OAuth exception message. OAuth exception dot message. So and in the meantime, I'm going to go look very briefly at the CloudWatch logs and see if those contain the correct data. Well, exception is not seen. But it still should have printed out the exception. Honestly, if all it says is invalid response from Twitch, I'll be pretty ticked off. There needs to be a little bit more information than that. I'm going to manually set debug to be true in these Zappa settings because I don't think it is being set. Sorry, you guys. I promise we're making progress. It's just not super exciting right now. You guys are welcome to ask questions, or if you have any ideas for why it's not working, that'd be appreciated. Zappa is just using API Gateway. Yes, what it does, Zappa, it creates a proxy function, and it takes the Lambda. It basically takes that Lambda proxy and runs the entire WSGI app, like the WSGI Flask app, inside of that proxy function. And it has kind of this keep warm callback that hits it every couple minutes. Invalid response from Twitch. There's got to be more data. There has to be more data than that. It can't just say invalid response from Twitch. Come on. It's infuriating. Let's see what data in this has. What kind of invalid response would be a great, thing to include in the message? Forbidden, invalid client secret. Well, it's good to know. On the plus side, that's not my client secret. On the downside, I don't know why it thinks it is. I'm going to turn off the screen for a second while I attempt to figure out why I'm getting the wrong client secret. So you guys can still see me and programming and everything. Huh. If it ends up being that I copy pasted this wrong, you guys have my permission to punch me in the face over the internet. So So the issue that's happening here is that the client params needs to be well, it needs to be different. So I need to figure out how to the good news is I know what to do. Import photo3 session. If I had multiple monitors, I'd still be showing you guys the code right now, but I don't have multiple monitors, so I have to hide my display while I'm messing around with these different keys. So what does it work? Twitch and client. So I'm just updating some stuff in the simple session manager right now. Won't take but a second. Region. This is the problem with using new stuff, is I make mistakes. Yep, that's the mistake I made. So cool. Everything should be working in just 1 second. We can summarize this entire snafu as Randall is an idiot who is bad at copy pasting. Great. Cool. I'm going to turn on the display again. And so hours of work because I copy pasted something wrong. And if that doesn't describe my day-to-day life of programming, nothing does. If this works on the first try, honestly, someone should slap me in the face the next time they see me. We've got to wait for CloudWatch. And then I'm going to let everybody log in using this URL for a hot minute. And after that, I think I'm probably going to call it a day. I've got to give a talk here in Tennessee, and then I've got to drive to Nashville and give another talk. So I need to go ahead and get ready for all that. Internal server error. Of course there was. Missing access token. And the reason I am missing the access token is that I never set it. So that's easy enough to fix. I'm surprised it didn't set itself. Oh, this is why. I do need to set it as this. Okay, so here we go. So this will be like this. And then we'll just run update again. And that's why that wasn't working, is we have to pass in the tuple of the access token and an access secret, except there's no access secret in this case. And this should all work now. I know I've said that probably 30 plus times, but this time I really, really mean it. The Twitch login is gonna work. The only thing that's probably not gonna work is the IAM side of logging into the AWS console. It's the only thing I don't think is gonna work this time. But everything else should work. Oops. Okay, so OAuth response object has no attribute get item. So what is a user then? Because I definitely print out a user object. But apparently printing doesn't work. Zappa print log. Log. Print. Catching unhandled exceptions. I don't really need to do that. So the issue is that our user objects doesn't have any stuff. So what if I just return JSONify user? Is that crazy? It's probably crazy. User does not have display name. So, it should have printed out the user in the logs, and that's why I'm trying to figure out why it's not there. That's this guy, right? This is the one we just deployed. Let's try it one more time. I think that was a fluke. I do. I'm gonna try once more. Yes, these are AirPods that I'm using to talk. I have a much better setup when I'm at home for dealing with all this, but see, there's supposed to be. So this is what the print is returning. OAuth response. OAuth response object has no attribute get item. So maybe it needs to be response data. So let's go look at what OAuth response looks like. Yeah, so it's going to be data. That's what it needs to be. So data is going to be, okay, we got this. Got data. I think this will work. I'm not even going to bother debugging it because I'm so sure. This will end poorly. Abby Fuller is giving the keynote at Space Hacks in New York City on Friday. I was supposed to do that event because I'm a huge space fan, but there's just no way I can get from Austin to New York and back in like the same day and leave. I can't be in like 5 places at once. So Abby is giving this talk because one, she's more qualified, and two, she's a better speaker. And also I can't be there. So what went wrong this time? Key error display name. Okay, that's fine. Let's just return the user. Let's return the user, see what the data is. Return JSONify user, and then we'll just JSONify user. Come on, put in the print. So let's just update that one more time. This is called production testing, by the way. You shouldn't do this. One thing that I will say, I'm not a huge Java fan, but working with Java and API Gateway and Lambda and everything, because of the type system, you are guaranteed certain models and responses, and it makes it significantly easier to deal with some of this stuff without actually having to go into Lambda and test it all out. So I found the Java model is surprisingly good. Bad request, no client ID specified. Oh. Well, crap. What URL am I requesting? Twitch API Twitch. That's not right. That's pretty cool. Where's just the so shouldn't that just work? I have to pass in the client ID every time. But I've got the client ID up here. The base URL is right. So just get user should work. Let's look at this remote app stuff again. So I have to pass in a client ID on every single request, which is not standard. But I guess they do that for rate limiting. And then when you make subsequent requests. Yeah, okay, so how do I make OAuth lib, Flask OAuth lib, Flask OAuth lib. So does anybody know how to make Flask OAuth lib send the fix non-standard OAuth? Send the... There are services that claim they are providing an OAuth API, but with little differences. Some services even return the wrong content type. Well, I don't want to... It's not the content type that's the issue here. Use a pre-request method. So... Okay, cool. So what I need to do is I need to create this little pre-request method. So we'll call this def include consumer key, and that'll take a URI, headers, body, and what else will it do? Auth equals headers.get whatever. No, really all I need to do is just do headers.put. I don't think put is a real thing. Headers, and then I look and see what Twitch wanted. Get user, client ID equals client params 0 value. Authorization should be good. Yeah, I do think Spotify does this too. I haven't worked with the Spotify API in forever. And then we'll just do return URI headers body. And then we say, oh, what I need to do is make sure authorization there, because if authorization isn't there, I don't want to send that header. So if auth, auth equals headers.get authorization. If auth, then we put this there. Oh, is the AirPod sound terrible? I'm so sorry, guys. It's normally better at my home studio. We return that. Let's see. We can change URI. And then we say twitch.pre-request equals include consent. Okay, let's try this once more with feeling. I'm going to close out a bunch of stuff. I have to wait for this to finish deploying. Cool. Error getting authorization token. What went wrong this time? Watch me be rate limited because I've done so many, wrong responses or something. Let me try this one more time. I don't think that was done yet. Done deploying when I hit it. No, it was. Wow. It is client ID, right? That is the header. Okay, we're gonna do one other little check here, and go off to not in URI. We'll do that too. Okie dokie. Seems right. Because I think what's happening is it's setting that client ID header in the OAuth 2 request, and then that's changing the calculation of the HMAC for the OAuth and all that goodness. Or it's changing the calculation of the canonical string required for the OAuth because the headers are not the same as the ones that the OAuth thing is calculating. And now I'm just going to go ahead and delete all of that. How is this working before and it's not working now? This is infuriating. Absolutely infuriating. I don't know how people deal with this crap. OAuth. OAuth is driving me insane today. How do I create an authenticated request? Using the Twitch. You can send it via header or query string parameter. Well, let me send it via query string parameter then. See if that makes it better. First, I want to make sure that I didn't, screw something else up because it was working before. Oh, a new version of Zappa is available. You guys all saw that it was working earlier. I'm not making that up. Okay, so that's the same problem we had before of no client ID specified. But everything else worked because we got back to authorized, and the place where it's saying no client ID specified is when we're trying to make the request to hold on one second. Do they need me now? Yeah. Yeah, but I'm not done yet. Give me like 5 more minutes, and then I'll go up. 331. I'll find it. Thanks, though. Sorry. I have to go speak. So we'll figure this out very quickly if we can, and then I'll stream again, hopefully over the weekend, or the next time I'm able to. What we need to do in this pre-request thing, I wonder, can our GET request Flask OAuth lib GET? I want to see if we can override the things that go in wrong things. .get. I want to just see the API reference for .get. .get. No, I don't need the OAuth 2 server. I need the OAuth 2 client. There needs to be oh wow. Twitch also requires your token to be OAuth instead of. Let me just print out the headers really fast. I'm curious what those are. So auth.replace, because it looks like bear is the default. So I'm going to replace bearer with, OAuth. What is Twitch expecting? Is that the switch one? OAuth, yeah. So I'll replace it with that, and then we'll say headers auth authorization equals auth. Let's try that. And yeah, let's just try that. And I really have to go after this. Sorry, guys. What I'm hoping is this will just magically work, but even if it doesn't, I have to go. Error getting authorization to it. Damn. Man, this is gonna kill me. It's gonna be something so simple where I just have to pass in a header or something. Okay, I have to go because I'm talking in 3 minutes. Okay, I'm really sorry, guys. That was the best that I could do today. I'm gonna try and solve this next time, and if I solve it in the next few hours after this, I'll post it on the Twitch stream so you guys know what the error was because it's killing me. Thanks for hanging out with me. I know this wasn't super AWS specific, but I thought it was a lot of fun. You're all wonderful people. The other streams that the other developer evangelists do are actually much more. It's less coding, but more rehearsed and better than the streams that I give. I'm mostly just kind of taking a crack at building fun new stuff. The whole team at AWS is awesome. We're always hiring, and it's really fun streaming with you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy it as well. Thanks so much. Bye. You can follow me on Twitter at jrhunt, and you can send me a message at jrhunt. If you click that link, it'll send me a direct message, and you'll get a response from my bot. Okay, bye guys.